All right, big news, or is it news? Arizona House Bill 2549. It says revising a statute, Arizona revised statutes relating to electronic or digital devices. People are a little bit freaked out about this. People are a little bit frightened because it simply says it's unlawful for any person with intent to terrify, intimidate, threaten, harass, annoy, or offend to use not a telephone, or not just a telephone, any electronic or digital device. So what does that mean? People are saying, are you trying to quash my freedom to write whatever I want on Facebook, on the internet, on a blog, to say whatever I want over the airwaves? What's going on here? I had questions about that. We needed to find answers. I talked to State Rep Vic Williams yesterday. We had a nice conversation. I told him it'd be pretty good if he got out in front of this to explain it, because I want to know too. And then I wake up this morning, and I see, and I'm questioning everything, and I see Representative Williams refutes crackpots and conspiracy theorists' claims regarding HB 2549. State Rep Vic Williams joins me now. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Garret, and thank you for having me part of the morning ritual with AM 790.
Well, and 97.1. Please don't forget that. We worked very hard to be on both AM and FM. But so let me ask you, should I be wearing a tinfoil hat in your mind right now because I asked you about this?
No, absolutely not. Let me address that. This thing has kind of gone national on the blogs right now. And the same folks that I'd say that would subscribe to the Truthers movement, some of the black helicopter conspiracy people, are ginning up, it's a dialogue about this bill, and I don't think they have read the bill, as though somehow this would quash their ability to dialogue on their blogs. And that is not what the bill does. It does not what the bill does not state that whatsoever. And the definition of the bill on page 1, line 26, under Title 13, Section 29 of Arizona Revised Statute, says stalking, classification, and definitions. And this is legislation that goes back, the primary part about the telephones go back to 1966. And this law about stalking goes back to 1995. And what we're trying to do with this legislation is update it to modern means of communications and how someone would stalk another person. In no way does it try to deny someone's ability to express themselves. So there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of real ugly things being written on the internet right now. If you go Google search HB 2549 Arizona, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
So let me ask you this, so just because people are upset, because people look at this, they see stuff on the internet. I know you're saying it's the black helicopters, and we'll get to the meat of the bill. Mm-hmm. But if people see this, that are everyday, regular people like me, I'm not a truther, I'm not a black helicopter guy, but I see the words any electronic or digital device and the words annoy or offend. And last time I checked, it's not illegal, or I shouldn't be arrested or charged with anything if I annoy or offend people. Do you think it was the right thing to do to point out that if anybody questions this, like me, I'm a crackpot?
No, absolutely not. I don't think people questioning the bill is a problem. But once again, kind of relating to a lot of the dialogue that's being sent out and some of the hate emails that we're receiving at the Capitol and some of the stuff that's being written on blogs around this country, kind of the same folks that were ginning up the dialogue, Bush lied, people died, and referring to Republicans as Nazis and sending people off to war. And, fighting for oil, that kind of dialogue. And those kind of folks are trying to mount some kind of campaign against the Arizona legislature right now that we're invoking some type of repressive law. But once again, this law has to do with the definition of stalking, which has been case law for well over 17 years in Arizona.
Real quick. Because, again, I think the people that said, Bush, going back to Dan Rather, since you brought this up, Bush had the documents, of course, it was all fake, it was ginned up. People are crazy. But don't they have the right to be crazy? It's not against the law to be crazy.
Well, I think people have the right to do whatever they want, okay? But also I, as an elected official, have the right to try to distill some of these are myths, or when people are trying to conjure up things that are untrue. I haven't seen a distortion of an issue like this since SB 1070 came out, and and of course that got picked up on the national media, on the mainstream media, as though that the bill was intentionally racist and that it was predicated on race in Arizona, and we had to mount a campaign from the legislature. Have you read the bill? And what I would suggest to your listeners is take a moment to read the bill. They can go on to the Arizona legislative website. You can go on to my website and read the bill and read the language. And read it, and it's not a long bill.
No, it's not. It's one page. It's really nothing. Yeah. And we have State Rep Vic Williams on KNST AM 790 and now 97.1 FM. Okay, so calm me down just for a little bit, because you get nasty emails. I get nasty emails. People write crazy things sometimes. It happens. But what it says here, it's unlawful for any person with intent to terrify, intimidate, threaten, harass, and I understand those. But then it says annoy or offend. What's the definition of annoy or offend? Who makes those definitions? That to me is the slippery slope.
Okay, where in the bill are you reading that?
Right at the top of it, actually. Hang on one second. I can tell you the exact line.
Let me go to that, okay?
Sure.
That is a current statute. That has been what you're reading is line 7 of the bill.
Yes.
And that has been in statute for at least 15 years, those lines.
Well, okay, so should we just take it away? Because what I'm asking, what's the definition of annoy or offend, which would have someone be breaking the law?
What would be the definition of annoy or offend? It has to be in the use of electronic device, okay, to intimidate, annoy, offend, or harass someone. And we're taking the only definition that we're changing in this law is in the use of a telephone.
No, I know, but I'm saying, what is the definition of annoy or offend that has someone breaking the law? Because my wife can say that I annoy her when I put on my New York Islanders games on TV. I could say on her Facebook, I'm messing with my wife because I'm making her watch the Islanders. Does that mean she can say that I'm breaking the law and I can be arrested?
No, of course not.
Well, then why is annoy and offend in there?
Garrett, there's plenty of case law to back up these threats that are made using the telephone, threats that have been made in say when one person is stalking another. Because once again, this statute goes back to 1966, 46 years now. We've had this law on the books in one form or another. And what we're trying to do, and there's plenty of case law that can back up and determine what would be the definition of to annoy or offend. So that is something that has been proven in our courts or used as a standard in our courts for going on a half a century.
Well, couldn't annoy or offend fall under the term harassment? I mean, why have those? That's the only thing, is that you have case law, but then you get some judge that might be an activist who might not like talk radio.
Well, Garrett, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with this statute? Has there been a problem with the statutes that you're referring to and that have been on the books for decades?
But whether there has been...
I don't believe there has been. We have not heard from the public that the district attorney's office in Pima County or Maricopa County is using Title 13, Section 2916 for salacious-type lawsuits or indictments against people.
But you're hearing it now.
No, what we're hearing now is that we're taking, and once again, you have to read the bill and how it's being reconstructed, because the bill used to state, and let me read this, line 7, it is unlawful for any person with intent to terrify, intimidate, threaten, harass, annoy, or offend to use. That's in statute. It used to say a telephone. Now it says any electronic or digital device.
So clear this up, because people are worried about this, because people use Facebook all the time. People use Twitter all the time. And we have State Rep Vic Williams on KNST, AM 790 and now 97.1 FM. If someone, people are scared, saying if I write that I think Vic Williams is crazy for doing this, or I think Vic Williams or I think Garret Lewis is a moron, are they going to be prosecuted?
Absolutely not. Okay, because if you go in and look, let me lead people to a website. On my website, if you go to my lead page, there is the bill in its current and amended form. The striked language is in red with a line through it, and the new language coming in is in blue in all caps. That's on voteforvic.com. And if you go in and read, it's pretty clear as to what we're changing this legislation or what the statute to do. We are updating it to a technology-type standpoint because we've had, and I don't think that any reasonable or rational person would deny that there has been the use, or you've had, let's say, issues where someone has used a telephone to harass other people. Mm-hmm. They will call someone to harass a person. We are now saying any electronic or digital device. And once again, we have case law here that supports this, and this is also in the context of the other section about stalking, classifications, and definitions. But with that being said, we've talked to the county attorneys here in within Pima County. We can rewrite this language. If this language is, and that's something we can look to do.
Well, that's the thing. You say this has been on the book since 1966, but it doesn't mean that it was right back then or it's right now. I mean, now people are more aware of what's going on now than ever before because of talk radio, because of the internet, and let's face it, because of the current state of government with President Obama. We're all aware because of the Tea Party. So if people are looking at this now saying, whoa, this is a really slippery slope, and no offense, and you're a lawmaker, but a lot of us are very leery because we saw the president intimidate the Supreme Court yesterday. So we're saying if that is in play, geez, what can you do to me?
Hey, you're making valid points on talking about the problems that we're having with this country with runaway spending, the Obama administration being completely out of control. But this is, once again, a law that's been in place for quite a long time. And I don't think it's ever been misused. I'm not aware of it. But we're trying to now make it, it was
also legal to own slaves at one point, too.
Well, I appreciate that comment, but I don't think anyone's talking about slavery here. What we're talking about is harassing of people.
I hear you.
And also in the definition of harassment as pertaining to stalking of people, okay? This has nothing to do with free speech. And in the expression of free speech, and Garrett also, too, the expression of free speech, not all speech is condoned or accepted or protected by our First Amendment. You go back to the expression of someone standing up in a crowded theater.
Yeah, and screaming fire.
That's not protected by free speech. And there have been people, and there are many, many victims of hate crimes and many, many victims of people that have been threatened through the use of, say, telephone and through stalking, ex-lovers, chasing each other down, showing up at personal residences, using telephones, using threatening emails. And this is just something that defines it relevant to the definition of stalking, okay? It first has to be classified and defined as stalking a person. And so getting on the blog and writing something on my Facebook page or your Facebook page that you don't like Representative Vic Williams is fine. And, look, as a public official, I go through that all the time. And that is part of what we have for the expression of free speech. But for someone to stalk another person and someone to harass a person intentionally, we've had laws protecting people like that for well over a half a century, and they're good laws. And this is just trying to bring the current law up to modern technology standards.